Thank you for joining the March 19th, 2019 VOLTHA call. We do record the sessions and post them to YouTube, so please keep that in mind during discussions and any presentations. And with that, we'll go ahead and start today's meeting. So the first item I want to just remind everyone, we are currently in Sprint 15, and that sprint is targeted to close this Friday. So just keep an eye on JIRA tickets as you're completing work so that we can get the status updated appropriately by the end of the week. We do have a number of new JIRAs to review today. So I had initially sent this out with 1511. I believe that the team reviewed 1511 and 12 on Thursday, so we can actually start with 1513. I did have one question for Stefan on 1511, but I don't believe he's on, so I'll just take that offline. So we'll start over on 1513. Okay, and this one is already done, but this was a defect that was opened vol 1513 init PM metrics fails due to adapter agent call instead of core proxy call. And do we have any discussion or comments from the group? Okay, and that defect has been closed out. Then the next item, 1514, add port status notification to the logical device. This one is in progress being worked by Ken.
Yeah, that's done.
Oh, this one's done. All right.
Yes.
So let me actually go put it into the sprint, and then we'll flip it over. Meanwhile, are there any questions for Ken? Okay, let me move this to done. Thanks, Ken. Next item, vol 1515, update the CLI document to include instructions for read-write core dynamic logging. And this is
that's done too.
Okay, let me go ahead and edit. And do we have any questions for Ken while I'm making the changes? Okay, I'm not hearing any, so we'll go ahead and mark that done and move on. Next item was a defect opened vol 1516 PONSIM v2 container stops putting VOLTHA in a usable state. This is opened by David. And we have a brief description in here. Any questions from the group or discussion? Let me see if David's on. David, I do see you on the bridge today.
Yep, I'm on. Now this may also be with the 1.0 core, would be the only issue. This was installed via the Helm charts.
Any questions from the group? Okay, so this one, we do not have an owner currently, and this was just opened a few days ago. So if we're wanting to bring this into Sprint 15, so this is medium priority, do we have anyone who will be able to take a look at this item? All right, I'm not hearing anyone at the moment. Okay, so let me ping the group. Is this an item that we believe we need to have fixed, medium priority?
I think that should be, I don't know, so PONSIM v2 container stopping putting in the usable state sounds serious.
Well, it's serious in terms of if you use PONSIM, a real deployment will not use PONSIM, I assume. And I don't know if this same situation would occur if we're really using a real device or not. That would have to be tested.
Okay, we can keep it in medium right now, but Is there something maybe Ken and someone else in Siena will look at it?
As far as I'm concerned, like if it's not a lot of people are using it, it's a low priority.
Yeah, so Andy at ONF has done a lot of development with Seed in a Box, and I know he uses PondSim, so I will pass this along to him that this issue exists and see if he thinks it's relevant to what he's working on.
And Seed in the Pod right now has not looking at the VOLTHA Core 2.0, right? It's still
Oh yeah,
1.8.
that's right. Is this only 2.0 stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll still mention it so that he's aware that when we move to VOLTHA 2.0, it'll be an issue.
Okay.
Well, and I think David had said it may be an issue on the 1.x branch as well. David, was that correct?
That is correct. This was actually, again, this is VOLTHA installed via the Helm charts. And while the CLI purports 2.0, I don't believe it is. It is, I believe it's still the 1.0 branch.
Okay, so I have a note down here that Scott, so you'll take this back and ask Andy if he can take a look at it, and we can capture a note in the comments as well later.
Yeah. I don't know that he'll have time to take on the issue, so I don't want to promise, but I'll make him aware of it.
Okay, thanks. Any other discussion on this item today?
The only thing in that audit will be a entirely different behaviors, because it's there's a Kafka burst between the core and the containers. So it's the core shouldn't even care what happened to the containers if they are deleted. So I suspect an entirely different behavior in 2.0 from 1.x.
Yeah, and somewhere along the lines, the Helm charts need to be updated to use the 2.0 stuff.
David, what do you mean? Helm chart need to.
So right now, I believe the Helm charts deploy essentially VOLTHA 1.x.
Mm-hmm.
We need a version of the Helm charts to deploy 2.0.
Okay, so I think we need to open a Jira ticket for that. So, David, can you open a Jira for that?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, great, thanks. So if you disable the VOLTHA CLI, then this does not happen, right?
If you disable the device before you delete the container, disable and delete the device before you delete the container.
Okay.
This will not happen.
Sean, go ahead.
No. So at least on the testing portion, they can add a script to disable the device. I think maybe that's Scott or Andy. At least to me, I think for the automation testing, this can be a workaround.
Yeah, there are workarounds. I mean, we could probably make this a low priority. I don't think I'm not convinced yet it can affect production environments.
Mm-hmm.
It just affects use of PondSim.
Okay. I'll keep it as a medium.
Any other discussion?
Thanks, David.
All right, we'll move on to Vol 1517. This one, Pond Resource Manager Library for Go-based OLT adapters. And this one is currently in progress. And it looks like we do have some code in there for review. Any questions from the group? And this is going to be a common library. It could be used by other OLT adapters as well. I'm going to go ahead and map this one over into our active sprint since this one is in progress. All right, then any questions before we move on?
Is Abhilash on the call? I'm wondering whether, is that just waiting for a +2 or not?
Needs to merge. Some of them need to be rebased for what it's worth. The OLT repo is very particular about rebasing, so check it out, make sure your stuff is rebased, and I'll get it in. The only other thing as well is the Proto's repo is ready for use. So if it's the check-in that actually attempts to check in another copy of the Proto, I would strongly encourage no longer doing that.
Yep. Julie, is Abhilash on the call?
Rid of the Proto file, one or the other.
I do not see Abhilash on the call.
Okay.
All right, other discussion? Okay, going on to our next issue, 1518, utilities for created IDs for the ONU Uni interface and so forth. And this is on the Golang OpenOLT Epic. And this one looks like we do have some code up for review as well. Do you have any comments on this item?
So that should be in progress, right?
Yeah, I'm going to move it to in progress. Okay, I'm not hearing any questions. We'll go ahead and move on. 1518 is another defect that was opened. Remove device topic logic when deleting a device. This one is done and was worked by Ken. Any questions from the group? Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and map this one over to Sprint 2 so we have it tracked there. All right. Next item is another defect that was opened, 1520. Broadcom OpenOMCI ONU does not publish KPI or PM events. This one was worked by Chip, and it looks like this one is completed as well. Any questions? Okay. Next item is another defect opened, 1521. Free radius should not deploy as part of the VOLTHA Helm chart. And this one was reported by David. I think there was some discussion on VOLTHA Discuss as well, if I remember. Any questions?
So Dave, effective versions VOLTHA 1.3.
Yeah, that's been there since the beginning, but yeah, it really shouldn't be there. I agree.
So do we have anyone who can work on updates for this?
Let's ask.
The updates are also going to have to include probably documentation, because I suspect right now, how to bring up even SIVA in the box, perhaps, relies on free radius some places. So I suspect there's some documentation updates more than code updates.
What question, right? So right now we're talking 1.x here. So is there any harm as part of the installation?
I don't think there's any harm, to be honest. And when the charts get updated for 2.0, it can be removed then as well. I don't think this is, again, something critical.
Okay,
it's annoying.
It's annoying. Okay, so let's put it low.
What it's worth, also, there's a configuration you can pass into the values YAML to disable installing free radius. For what
okay.
Is that you said it's YAML? Then that's part of home chart.
It's so basically the default, the VOLTHA Helm chart, the defaults that are specified in values YAML have it installed, but you can override values YAML and say not to install it.
Okay, so I would suggest, David, maybe we can change this one. So make sure the VOLTHA 2.0 has that set, and then let's let the 1.x go.
Yep, works fine.
Okay. other discussion on this item?
So maybe we change this. I wonder for okay. I'll change the subject of this, David, if you don't mind.
No, and it could just be as easy to say, look, if anybody wants to do anything with sprayed, fine. Just change the default to not deploy it.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. We'll move on to the next item then. 1522, another defect that was opened. ONOS OLT application CLI doesn't support JSON as indicated in help.
David, you've been working hard.
Not really. And again, this is just another annoyance. And nothing critical. It's just when you go through here and you try things and they don't work, I file JIRAs.
and David, are we recording this? Is VOLTHA making
Yes,
a grumpy old man?
I'm not sure if VOLTHA's making it, but it certainly isn't helping.
Okay, so since this one is a low priority at this point, then I think we won't actively try and pull it into the sprint. If someone wants to go do some cleanup here and fix this, that would be great. But any other comments from the group on this item or questions?
Again, so let me take a look at this one, 1522. So basically, is the README file update, or is the function need to be there but it's not there?
What it means is when someone wrote the CLI command, they cut and pasted from one that did support JSON output and therefore had the -J option on their command line options and never implemented it. That's what it means. So you either need to remove the -J to support the output or actually support the flag.
I like it to have the option for supporting the flag. What other people are thinking?
You mean other than it's very low priority?
I think there are other programmatic ways of getting this, so I don't know. I say just strike it as an option and be done with it. Probably not worth talking about a whole lot.
Okay, just remove the helps.
Hi, this is Fahad from Northforge. Actually, this -J option is generated by the framework, so it's not simply a copy paste. It's whenever you just extend the command line. Sorry, the command line application, the command line class, it generates this by default. So it's a simple, it needs to be implemented just to generate the right JSON format.
But that doesn't make sense to me because there are commands in ONOS that don't have the -J option and don't support a JSON output. But okay.
So I mean, shouldn't this one be the ticket against ONOS?
It's against an application, a VOLTHA application.
Okay. Well, there should be some option just to disable it in the framework then.
So I mean, it's an ONOS application, but it's still part of the core repository or the VOLTHA repository.
So what I got, sorry for taking some time on this one. So even if we remove the README file, the -J option is still part of the framework, so it's still one of the options on ONOS or the Volt, right? So
I can't speak to it being part of the framework because I've created other commands that are where I've extended the command class and I didn't get a -J option by default. So I don't know if it, the other gentleman says it is. So that's I don't know where it is then.
That's far. Is that far? Sorry. Yeah, Fahed?
I'll have to double check this, but this definitely is part of I mean, it's by default it comes up.
Okay. Can we assign it to you, Fahed?
I
At least
mean,
provide some updates.
we're not actively working on the. I'm simply just giving my opinion.
Okay. Okay. I'll ask the owners guy. Okay.
Again, I might have been the only person who's used this CLI in the last 6 months. So again, it's a low priority.
Okay.
So Sean, I think, Sean, it sounded like you were going to follow up with someone else. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next issue on our list here today. So 1523, add test to VOLTHA Protos to validate that generated Go stubs and protos are consistent. And this one was opened and is going to be worked by William.
Yeah, there's a case where someone could make a change and not actually update what the generate stubs in the repo. So just adding this step here that can be run to make sure this doesn't happen. That'll validate commits. I'm doing that now. So
okay, I'll go ahead and put it in our sprint then. Thank you. Any questions from the group? Okay, not hearing any. And
is this story point?
Now,
okay, so story point is one. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Next item, 1524, update port labels for simulated OLT and ONU, as well as PONSIM OLT and ONUs, and this one has been completed, and this was done by Ken, and related to changes in the core as well to drive this task. Any questions for Ken? Okay, I think I'll go ahead and put this in the sprint for tracking the story points as well.
Maybe a general question for something like this. Are there any GitHub code review or something? The ticket itself doesn't show anything, right?
There is actually there is code review. There is code review there. The only thing is what I've noticed is in some cases I'll put the tag, the name of the Jira to the commit message. In some cases it will show on Gerrit. On the Jira itself, in some cases it just doesn't show.
Right.
If you go, Sean, if you go to the active sprint screen and then you navigate to the ticket in there, then you can usually view the Gerrit link. But on the other screen, it's hit or miss. But we do have the link to the code there.
Somebody should put in a Jira about Jira.
David.
I agree. I have a workaround, but it's not a pretty workaround. Okay. Next new item, 1525, open OLT, handle OLT down/restart case. And this one was reported by Serkan.
I think that depends on another task. When we finish the flow manager task in containerization brigade, that will be automatically vanished, or I just wanted to open it to follow.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? The next item then is another defect open, 1526. Logical ONU ports are not available in ONOS, and this one was opened by Matt.
This is for the 2.x core and adapters as well. Probably should have pointed that out. But yeah, there's something about the logical ports show up via the core, but for some reason via OF agent to ONOS, the unis don't show. And it has to do with the timing. The unis appear later as part of discovery, but initially when the logical device is asked from the core via OF agent, it returns all the logical ports at that time, which at that time is just the N and I. A couple seconds later, 30 seconds later, whatever, the unis start rolling in, but that push isn't making its way through OF agent to ONOS so that ONOS shows it. The workaround is actually if you just bounce OF agent after the unis are all up, they all appear in ONOS. So yeah, it's just something to chase down. I'll probably end up taking it. It just depends on other things.
Okay. Do you want me to leave it unassigned for now?
Yeah, by the end of the day, I'll either assign it to myself or we'll figure something else out.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Any other questions on that item? Let me refresh the screen.
In the OF agent, there is a regular pool for logical devices. So the next time that it pulls a logical device, then it should be able to get all those ports and everything. So from there on, I'm not so sure whether there is a notification that gets to ONOS or not.
And I see,
I thought there was going to be a port up notification or a port add notification when new port unis came up.
Yeah, I thought the old one I thought did that. And so here's maybe the bigger question. Last year, maybe it was sometime in the middle of the year last year, in the old 1.x core, that may have been implemented so that the pushes worked with OF agent. I don't remember if it was last year or not, but part of me is wondering if the copy of OF agent that was copied over for the 2.x branch may have just been old and might have not included everything.
Do you know when the change was made in OF agent in 1.x?
No, it's so vague.
Oh, okay.
I have nothing to base it on other than just lots of memories. So I could be totally.
Yeah, some of the work.
The OF agent 2.0 is something that was copied over, I believe, around October timeframe of last year.
That would have been new enough. Okay, so yeah, something else. I mean, I have to figure either there's something missing in a proto or some other fundamental piece that's just not there. I just have to trace through it and find it. But if for what it's worth, I do see it every, I don't know, second or couple seconds, poll for logical devices. So I do see that work. It just doesn't seem like it follows up with the poll for logical ports.
So basically, the port add function is not working 100%, right?
Well, either it's not working because I'm doing something wrong, or it's not working because of the core is doing something different.
Yeah. Do you see any
directionality of it? I guess really, is it a pull thing or a push thing? I'm not sure yet.
No, it's two. It's two of those. It's one is the polling of the logical device just to make sure that we have enough. We see all the logical devices, and then there is the push of the port up from the core into OF agent, and that functionality I put that in I believe last week or the week before that. I don't know if OF agent is handling that correctly or not, or if there's a piece missing. So, but that should be there.
Okay, I sent a comment to Sarav and Gumsa because I think Gumsa did some changes because of technology profile.
No, none of that's in here, by the way. So none of this includes that.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, this OF agent is basically as the world was before technology profile started. So more closer to the 1.6, 1.7 maybe, or 1.6 time period. Yeah, technology profile into all this is going to be its own effort.
Okay. I just wonder because Gumsa did some changes on OF agent. I just wonder whether that has something to do with it.
No, and I know in the 1.x core we tested this all the time very recently, where unis would come up and come down and be added, days later, and that worked fine. So I know it works with 1.x. So it's really just figuring out who's behaving differently.
Okay.
Yeah, I suspect something with OF agent, and not processing those notifications correctly.
Yeah, so I'll check it out.
Great. Any other discussion or comments? Let me just check once more. And I don't see anything else that came in, so we'll go ahead and go back to our agenda for today. The next item was going to be looking at sprint updates for the in-progress items. Let me see if I can get back to that screen. See where we are. We've got about a half hour left. I want to make sure we have time for these two items also. So let's take a quick look at in-progress items. And I think, Chip, we talked about the OpenOMCI work last week. Anything we need to talk about on today's call related to status for the OpenOMCI work that you're doing?
Not really. I'm mainly trying to work on my slides this week to
Okay.
get preparation for next week, and then I'm going to be out since I'm switching jobs. So I might not have much work done on anything for a while.
All right. And then, oh, go ahead.
I was wondering whether Chip wants to make formal announcement.
We do
well,
record
I guess I
these,
can.
so be careful. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Paul's here. I'm actually Thursday's my last day at Adtran, and I've accepted a job at Tibbet, and so I'm looking really forward to that opportunity. And so I guess that's my announcement.
Right, and then we're expecting your attention to VOLTHA will stay the same. That's it.
Well, yeah, I'll be working a lot on the Tibbet adapters and all, and of course, learning everything about their system and hardware. So I'm going to be pretty tied up for the next month or so.
Good.
All right, and then we do have the active brigades going on for the tech profile work, and then also for the adapter, the containerization work. Are there any topics for either of those that we need to discuss with a larger group on today's call, or any items that folks have questions about that they'd like to bring forward on today's call? Okay, so I think we'll skip over the items that are in progress and being worked as part of the brigades. And then I think the integration testing, that is still underway. We still have other work to do there. So I'm expecting no updates on those for today. Is that correct, Ken? I don't think there's anything for us to talk about specifically today.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And then we've got another technology profile. Let me skim down. We have one item here that's not part of a brigade, so we can take a look at that. Set device active ownership per core in a core pair. That one's in progress. And it looks like that's out for review at the moment. Is there anything that needs to be discussed with the group?
What gets said.
Okay, I'm not hearing any, and that's being worked by Ken. And then the last one we have in here, we just talked about on today's call, so I don't think we need to go over that one. So that's kind of most of the in-progress items at the moment are being worked under the active brigades. So we just touch on those very briefly. Then we have a number of to-do items that will hopefully get pulled in over the next few days as some of the in-progress work closes out. Are there any topics or issues in the to-do state that need discussion with the group on today's call? I think we took a look at them last week. Okay, so as people free up, feel free to pull items from the to-do column. And I think with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question on the agenda, which is taking a look at the draft roadmap. So this was an action item from our meeting last week, where we were looking at the remaining work that's in 2.0 and trying to assess the roadmap, since we were targeted initially to close out sprint 15 and then after that cut 2.0. And so with the amount of remaining work, then we decided we needed to revamp that and look at the schedule in a bit more detail. And so Sean and I tried to draft up some material for discussion on today's call and wanted to review that with the group and get feedback. So any quick questions before I move on to the roadmap slide? Okay, so this is a markup of what we had on the roadmap on the wiki. And then I've taken a few updates here and tried to track changes as best as possible where I could before making changes on the version that's published on the wiki. So for this, for 2.0, I think now, let me go over to another screen. This is an updated draft roadmap that goes along with that PowerPoint or that Google slide that we're showing here. So the discussion we had a week or so ago was probably on the containerization work for the Python-based work that needed another couple sprints to complete that work. So 6 to 8 weeks was the estimate at that time. So we tentatively, Sean and I added 2 sprints in here, 16 and 17, which would put us in May for that time. And then I believe I saw an update from Sean Massette on the Golang adapter and containerization there. And I think that looks like it's scheduled to complete end of May, which actually would fall beyond this. So need to make an estimate at this point of how many sprints we should be adding in as a group for 2.0. And that's partly based on our rescoping what's going to be in there. So I think it's easier to view on the other screen. So I think the decision that we talked about last week was for the technology profile work that for 2.0, we would consider that just staying on the 1.x branch and potentially tagging a I think it's 1.7 release once this work closes out. And then in 2.1 would be the plan to port that functionality over into the 2.x branch. So I've tried to represent that here on this slide. And then we'll need to make a call on if this is going to be still the initial phase of the Go-based adapter that would be in 2.0, and then some follow-up work to complete that and get it to parity with the Python-based. And then we would cut over to that one as the primary adapter at that point. So I'm not quite sure if we need to, where we need to make that dividing line. We'd kind of talked about this before, but I think with our revised schedule, we need to reassess that and see if we want to target 2 sprints or roughly the completion of the containerization work and a few other things for Python and for a few other things, or if we need to add an additional sprint to get us to the end of May in order to get the completion of the Golang-based adapter work. So any thoughts from the group? I'm hearing silence.
So can we draw a line of what further work we want to do in the one branch? Do we have that line?
I think the further line in the one branch is finishing the tech profile work and then saying that.
And then everything else rolls to 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
1.7 is, there's no more features going into 1.anything. 1.7.
Good, because I mean, otherwise it's still a moving target.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we thought since the tech profile work had been done on the 1.x branch and that was nearing completion, as soon as it's done, we tag 1.7 and then we move over. So I put that roughly, it should be coming pretty soon here from what I'd understood from Saurav. So I put a placeholder for that item on this.
Is Sean Massette on the call? I think Saurav.
No, he is not available today. So I'd gotten an offline update from him on the schedule. So that's the placeholder we have for 1.7, and then everything goes over to 2.0 from that point on. And then 2.0, we're kind of deferring the tech profile work on the 2.x branch until we finish some work on 2.0, and then 2.1, we're planning to pull in the tech profile work. That was the rough discussion about a week ago, I believe.
That makes sense.
Okay. And then part of the rescoping also, we had a couple at-risk items, which it's pretty clear at this point are not likely to be in 2.0. So we took those and moved them into the 2.1 on the slide as well to kind of better line up what we're going to complete in 2.0 with these additional couple sprints added in. So we're wrapping up tech profile, but that actually is on 1.x. And then we moved the white box OLT in-band management through NNI and multiple TCON support to 2.1 was the proposal that we have here. So we have a clean break so we can end the 2.0 work. And then I just have that open question in terms of the target release date and target additional sprints needed, if we need 2 or if we need 3, and where we want to draw that line for the OpenOLT adapter work. So if we can come to an agreement today, that's great. If we have to defer it to further discussion at the lockdown, we can do that as well. But I wanted to at least get some preliminary agreement that I believe we need at least two more sprints. Oops, I need to go back to the draft one, sorry. It's on a different slide, here we go. So we have placeholders now for these additional 2 sprints, and then questionable whether we need to add a third one after that.
Julie, this is Vikas.
Yeah.
One question, please. So, white box OLT in-band management, are we planning to upgrade BAL, or how are we planning to achieve in-band management with current version of BAL?
That is, where do I have that? That one is, we moved it on to the 2.1, and it has a dependency on the BAL 3.x. I'm not sure which version exactly. So this one does have that dependency listed, another reason we've pushed it out, I believe. And Sean, I think there's going to be a discussion on BAL 3.x at the lockdown. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think there potentially can be a workaround to enable the in-band management during the OLT turned up. So I think that's option I would like to explore during the lockdown.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yep. We can talk further in lockdown meeting. Thanks.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, so if folks are okay with the draft changes that we put together on this slide here, I'd like to update what we have on the wiki with this, understanding that it likely will be updated yet again at the lockdown, because we need to kind of line up dates for 2.1, which I want to defer that discussion to the lockdown so we can scope out what all will actually be in that release.
I see that the tech profile implementation is an ongoing work in VOLTHA Golang OpenOLT adapter, which is active in sprint 15. So maybe if it will finish, then maybe we have the tech profile in VOLTHA 2.0.
Ah, okay.
So the point there's more to that. So the adapter itself has to have updates. The ONU has to have updates. The OF agent will need updates as well. So there are pieces, and maybe even the core itself, that may have to change. So I really don't want to jump the gun on that one just yet.
I see. Okay, thank you.
So Sean, is that on the, do we have discussion on that at the lockdown as well?
Sorry, I got distracted. What's the question?
Related to the tech profiles and the work to port that into 2.x.
I think we have we have in general the CBA 2.0 integration to the VOLTHA 2.0 core, so that I would assume that include the tech profile.
Okay, so that we may need to have a separate VOLTHA discussion as well with the details for scoping out that work.
Yeah, flow decomposer change too. I know that as well. So OF agent change, flow decomposer changes, and both adapters have to change.
So Sean, we'll be taking a look at the agenda in a few minutes, and so let's make sure we have that covered if it's not on the agenda currently. Okay, thanks everyone. Then any objections to me putting these changes on the wiki at this point? I think I would, the items that I have the strike through right now, I would delete those. and then make these changes on the version on the wiki. Any objections? Okay, so I'll plan to tentatively put in the 2 sprints for now, and then when we're at the lockdown, we can hopefully finalize whether or not we need an additional sprint there as well. I'm hoping we can wrap up what we need for 2.0 by adding 2 more sprints rather than 3, but we'll assess that at the lockdown. Okay, then did some cleanup on this, so we'll have these slides on the updated further for the lockdown as well. But this reflects also the change with 2 additional sprints, moving some items to 2.1, and then tagging a 1.7 after completing the tech profile on the 1.x branch. And then 2.1 scope will be assessed at the lockdown. We have an update here on the schedule slide with adding 2 additional sprints at this point, which brings us to the start of May for that date. And then we'll refine this as we get to the lockdown as well to see if this is sufficient to complete the work. So these changes also then I'll plan to fold into the planning deck that's on the wiki so that we have that up to date with the updates to the roadmap. I think that is all I need to discuss for this. Any objections to those changes going on the publicly visible planning slide and roadmap? Okay, then I think next what we'll do is go over the agenda for the face-to-face meeting. So Sean, I'll give you presentation rights if that's okay.
Okay.
Oh, where did you go? If I can find you on the drop-down list. Huh.
I grab it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so right now the update is we're going to have the 36 or 37 attendee to be on site. We are opening the WebEx or GoToMeeting, but since the discussion depends on a lot of one whiteboard, so and usually the room, the audio probably will not work as well. So I have the attendee list. And then we start the first day. I think this is a detailed schedule, so I think I'll issue that a draft pretty soon. So we go. So the topic, I think that as you can see, the first topic we're going to talk about is the technology profile and meter band management. And we're expecting to have a demo to hold on the first session. And then the lesson learned. So some of the issue right now we're talking about potentially VOLTHA 2.0 adaptation for the technology profile can be also be addressed here. I schedule a 15 minutes morning break, and then the focus also on the alarm and the PM support. Most of the service providers are in the roadmap now. They are going to start operationalize the VOLTHA project and CBA framework. So we need to have a strategy and the basic framework established and nailed down as a community. See what would be the best way to support the alarm event management and also the performance monitoring, and including the current counter and historical counter. Basically, role of the each component, or how exactly. I think on the VOLTHA discuss we talk about alarm filtering, alarm suppression, and also alarm severity assignment, all that kind of stuff. So I scheduled that for an hour and 15 minutes. I hope that's enough. And then we're going to have the celebration of a community, and then lunch break, then this afternoon session, the device management. During the OCP meeting, I think right now most of the for the ONF's reference designs, the Trellis, the UPAN, and other references, ODTN, and then the CBA. The device management has been on the surface now, and then I think the refish will be heavily utilized to do the device manager, at least on the. I think they can also do the software upgrade through the refresh, and then also the alarm and the notification stuff. So I schedule a topic to talk around that time slot, and then Foundry Don Newton has agreed to provide an abstract OT status update, and then what's next, and so I schedule a session for that. In the afternoon, I think the CIBA RD is in the progress of finalizing baseline and then published. And then there are the CIBA reference design 2.0 list is now on the table. So we're going to give a quick update regarding to what will be on the CIBA 2.0. And then the CIBA integration plan for integrating the VOLTHA 2.x, what's the potential challenges. I think on this one, I'm mostly looking for the CIBA's effort how to integrate the VOLTHA 2.0. And so I didn't include the technology profile implementation on the VOLTHA 2.1 portion, and I think that will be addressed a little bit later. And I have not finalized what exactly that afternoon will be. It will be complete. What topic will be touched to address that. The log management can be part of the discussion also. And then the day 2 is more VOLTHA heavy. And we start with the Broadcom is going to have an overview regarding to the 3.x features, and then and we want to also look into the effort needed to support about 3.x migration on the OpenOOT adapter, which include the OOT driver on the edge core box, OpenOOT agent on the edge core box, and the OpenOOT adapter as a container itself, and then the OOT software download management strategy is also part of the discussion. A lot of stuff. And then the second half of the morning, and then the VOLTHA core, Sienna is taking on the lead for that, and completion status update and what's next, and then the scalability testing.
Sean,
yes?
Just like I mentioned before, like we are not going to run the scalability test. We
right.
may just show the proposed setup that we're going to have.
Yes.
And but we're not going to run it. We won't have time to run it.
Right. So I listed the methodology and then lab setup, and then put, if you live on compute resource requirement, you can share the time. That'll be great. Okay. And then adaptive containerization deep dive. And so we have 2 tracks, Go based and Python based, and then ONU containerization, and then OpenOMCI containerization strategy, and then that's what Chip is working on. The presentation and the ONU release and discussion. This one, the alpha network will be there. So I'm hoping to assign this to them. And then, but exactly. So ONU, the software download and management strategy. And then since we have the OpenOMCI right now is ready for the software download. At least it's been demoed on the CIG ONU site. So I think this is more focused on the Broadcom based. And then in the afternoon, I scheduled a flow decomposer update. So I wonder whether the technology profile portion of that can be part of this. I think, okay, so when this one's replicated. So I'm still moving things around. So in general, these are the schedule we are hoping to establish. And then the HA support for the device adapter. It depends on whether we, since this is not in the 2.1, but I think in the future, we do need to support this. As, at least that's still on the table. So right now I also scheduled that in, and then the day 3 is March 29th. No, March 28th. so we're going to actually start with because I know some people will be leaving probably noontime on Thursday. So Julie and I would think we need to work on the release planning face to face. So we're going to probably start the release planning to start the day on day 3, and then we still have the address the issues we need to address, the multicast support, the IPv6 support for the subscriber, and the RG assignment. Right now, this is probably one of the new stuff. We have never really fully addressed that. I think there are some impact on the ONOS app, and then also I wonder whether the VOLTHA core probably will have some impact. And then the in-band management portion, this is also included as the item to be discussed on the 3rd day. So one of the things is GDAF support, but right now I don't quite have a taker for doing some update on that one, so potentially that will be off the table. So that's basically as you can see, it's still moving. The schedule's still trying to. I'm still moving around the schedule, but I'm trying to fit in, give enough time for things to float around. But the heavy discussion will be on day 1 and day 2. And of course, the release planning, that's probably not most important for the successful 2.1 release. So that will be in the morning of the day 3. Julie, back to you. Any question? I'll send a somewhat decent format to the VOLTHA Discuss and SIBA the developer, and then people can provide comments on that.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
And one thing is, the ONF is in the process of sending a lot of the T-shirt, hoodies, or things over as part of the community celebration. So I think it should be a good event, and I'm looking forward to see everyone over there.
Thanks, Sean. We've got about 2 minutes left, so quickly I wanted to just put a call out there if we have any demos that folks would like to do for this Thursday's meeting. All right, I'm not hearing anything. We may reach out to folks.
Sorry,
Yes.
Let me just jump in. So William, Cisco's not going to pay for William to go to the event. And Sean wants to talk about the VES agent. Maybe William can spend a little time on the VES agent Thursday. And does that sound reasonable, Sean?
Yeah.
I mean, William had no trouble doing it on his own, so neither Matt nor I have really kind of.
No, I know William, so that'll be great if you can do that, because I think the VES agent is one of the. I don't know whether it's actually been discussed in detail and on the SIBA site. So yeah, if we can review that would be great.
Okay. So I'll put that on the agenda for Thursday. Thanks. And anything else for this Thursday? Discussion topics or demos?
And we're scheduling North Forge for some of the next step, right? Because North Forge, I think.
Yeah, we will have a demo of the latest.
Great.
And Dave Bembridge, right. your demo, I think we'll do it on site at the ATRA.
Okay.
All right. And with that, we are out of time. Last call. Any questions or comments before we drop the bridge today? All right, not hearing any, so we'll go ahead and close the meeting. Thanks everyone for your participation, and talk to you soon.